Welcome to the Whiskey Chasers, where we talk about our passion for whiskey and its history, either amongst ourselves or while interviewing distilleries, all while enjoying a glass. I'm Steve.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Chris.
Please enjoy responsibly while enjoying this week's episode of the Whiskey Chasers. Welcome to the Whiskey Chasers. We are in Pennsylvania still, and we are at Liberty Pole Spirits.
Yes, we are.
In what town are we in?
Washington.
Okay, Washington, PA. Have we had a bottle on the podcast, or have we just talked about it?
No, we've had a bottle. We
had
a surprise bottle with the other bottle.
Yeah.
So we had two bottles in one
Sounds
episode.
about right.
Yeah.
The way we normally do it.
Yeah. Because we did the Monongahela barrel proof,
Okay.
and then we did the toasted barrel.
Oh, nice.
Yep. So we had those two bottles, and they were well loved and
nice.
appreciated. Yes.
Very nice.
Yeah, Nick, you came up to the distillery in the past, told us about it, and we decided we had to get over this direction. So here we are. We just did a tour of the place, went through the rickhouse, the restaurant, everything else. So we've been well received so far.
Yes.
Glad to hear it.
Yes.
And we've got Jim.
Yes.
And Kevin.
Rob.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's
Kevin
all right. They're interchangeable.
Okay. Jim and Rob. So, welcome, you guys. We're excited to have you.
Thanks for coming out. This is awesome.
absolutely.
Yeah, excited to be
You guys
here.
are the founders, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Owners,
He is.
founders?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, we all are. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a very family-oriented, family-friendly distillery.
Sure is. Yeah.
And lots of history involved with this. The name, what you guys theme,
Yeah.
Part of the Whiskey Rebellion territory.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, why the history? Why does that matter so much for you guys?
You know, so we have honestly the like unparalleled opportunity to have a distillery in kind of the birthplace of what was American whiskey, Western Pennsylvania. So you know, we honor the history of whiskey, rye whiskey in Pennsylvania, the Whiskey Rebellion. It's just such an incredible history that we're a part of, and we could not honor that, any other way.
Well, I mean, to the point of the history, even downstairs, you guys have a picture of who again turned upside down?
Hamilton.
Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah.
Yep. The father of the excise tax that we still pay to this day.
Which is great because I think Chris appreciates the not pettiness, the
You gotta speak out against that crud.
Right,
I mean,
exactly,
They even get with the tobacco, like they even still with the excise tax. It's still a thing. It's still a thorn in our side after all these years.
It's not a petty. It's kind of a jab. This was not okay.
It's a way of rebelling a little bit. Like
About
maybe
7 or 8 years ago, we were deciding whether or not we should accept $10 bills.
Really?
That's great.
Yeah, we decided that we would accept them, though.
It's it's something that we as Americans kind of have. I mean, you've seen recently. You're newly founded pipe smoker here.
Yes.
So you'll see that if you get stuff like pipe tobacco and stuff, all of a sudden there's this excise tax. We've been taxed the last couple of years. They imposed another tax upon us as pipe smokers that we used to be exempt from. All of a sudden, you'll place a pipe order for some tobacco, and what's this $30 charge? It's the excise tax. Yeah, all of a sudden we're getting taxed on our pipe tobacco too. So we're still fighting that to this day. And so I really appreciate the upside down. I might put that in my house. I agree. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like let's get rid of this.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Love that idea. So history plays a huge role, not only to kind of that idea of the distillery, but you also, the Liberty Pole, that pole itself has a role to play within that.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So Liberty Poles, you can actually trace Liberty Poles' origin back to ancient Greek times, but they have always been a symbol of protest. So during colonial America, before we gained independence, Liberty Poles were raised to protest English rule. Once we gained independence and this new excise tax was placed, the farmer distillers here on the Western frontier kind of resurrected the Liberty Pole to protest that excise tax on whiskey. They have always been a symbol of protest.
And you still have one downstairs in the corner.
We
I
do,
saw it on there.
yeah.
When you guys opened here, was there a pole raising?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I thought I remembered something about a pole raising ceremony.
So, in fact,
Oh yeah, there's a picture.
if you look on the wall, when we did because we built this campus, from an empty lot. So, rather than having a golden shovel groundbreaking ceremony, true to our brand, we erected a Liberty pole. And that Liberty pole that is in the picture on the wall, that stood watch over the entire 19-month construction process. And that is the same Liberty pole that's in our meeting house right now. We brought that in. So, yeah.
It's protest in the right way, done in the right kind of respect and manner that fits this country.
Because I do want to be perfectly clear. We do pay our taxes.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
We do pay our excise taxes.
Yeah,
So,
but
we're not happy about it, but we do it.
Instead of protesting in this way or that way, it's doing it in the way that this country was founded, the way that they protested way back in the day when the founding of this country, and that's fantastic, done in a respectful way, but still like, hey, we have rights and liberties, and let's remember that, and I'm going to bring it up so people can think about that.
And while we were talking, another son/brother just hopped in the room.
Yeah, I'm sorry I'm late, guys, but Kevin, great to see you guys.
That's Rob.
That's Rob. So that is Rob.
All right.
My bad. Yes.
The whole family's here. Yeah.
Well, minus mom.
Minus mom,
yeah,
yes.
she'll be up.
Again, you guys got started with history, but you guys got started as a family, and you guys have stood beside each other through this whole thing. I love Beam. Jim Beam is one of my favorite distilleries because of that family legacy. But it's not this. It's not this kind of family pull together. Yeah, this close-knit family pull. We do everything together. We laugh and we smile, but trying the same barrels. We just tried 3 barrels downstairs, and the fun of watching you guys be able to open that together and try and be like, oh, this is wonderful. Like, can we pull this now? Like, can we just have it now? What keeps you guys going for that? Like, why do you keep coming day in and day out and annoying each other, but still loving each other at the same time?
Who said we still love each other?
Wow. Sounds like you've been in a family business before, Nick. Yeah, you captured all the emotions there. Yeah.
No, it is fun. I mean, I think we're very passionate about it for sure. And I think that's what's kept us going. But we all have different strengths, and we certainly do fight. But I think we care about this so much that and probably we rank the stability of the family more than the business. I think we'd lose the business before we lost the family. Yeah. I think is probably an important priority. But yeah, you see, I mean, a lot of family businesses don't survive. And so I think it's a cool testament.
We got a chance to talk to a family distillery, a father-son distillery, not too long ago. And the son was all for it. And the dad kept making the comment of, I can't wait to retire again. I can't wait to sell because I pulled out my retirement for this. I can't wait to make that money up.
Like almost lost faith.
Like he lost faith in it. And I saw that and I was like, oh man, my heart hurts for that idea of like getting me excited, then starting like, okay, we lost hope that this is going to go somewhere. I don't know that I've seen you guys lose hope. This is my second time meeting you guys, talking to you guys. I don't know that I've seen you guys lose hope.
So I think, hope might be, a lot of distilleries start with the hope of having Diageo or Beam or Suntory come in and buy them out. That was never our hope. So, that has not dissipated due to the whiskey downturn that we've seen. We were all about passion. We were all about making the best whiskey we could make, making the best whiskey experience we could make. And that's still very much alive. We didn't plan on exiting in 5 years. That's just not a really achievable goal these days. So
that's what I've kind of seen so far. After speaking with you guys and seeing everything, the word that keeps coming to my mind with Liberty Pole is integrity. That's what I'm seeing. And such a cool position for you to be in. I have 2 boys. And I mean, just the idea of this, like family business with, you know what I mean? And to have, everybody in on it.
Rob actually says that dad and mom started a distillery, so I'd have a job. So,
Well, you're that son. I'm that son too.
Not true.
I mean, I can attest to the fact that we were talking before you guys came back, and it was like we kind of all sat here and we're like, man, it feels different. We've all been on tons of distillery tours and things like that, and just kind of being here with you guys, it's a palpable passion that you can feel, like with each one of you, regardless of whether we were tasting whiskey out of the barrel. You're talking about your rickhouse and how you guys built it and spent time, thinking about it and how that process went and all the stories that go into it. And there's a lot of emotion and feeling, and that's all kind of very raw, but it's also palpable. You can feel that you are connected to this place. It's not a kind of a one-off, like this is just a business. This is a way for us to make money. It very much feels like this is a passion for you guys.
we appreciate that. I think that is. I'm really honored to hear that. I feel like that's why we do this. We just love making good whiskey, and I feel like we're so happy, especially with this place. There's not a lot of places that you get to build like a new distillery. So everything we set up, from the still shapes to the rickhouse to how we do our fermentations, was entirely from, we had 7 years of experience prior to it, and then got to set something up that is kind of our own. There's really no other excuse, we're not like cutting corners on something. And, we still are 2 years away from this whiskey being fully aged that we made at this location. And we're excited about, the whiskey from the old place, but we're really excited about what's coming down.
I think that's what I get most proud about is we haven't really set out with the idea to make any we knew exactly where we wanted to drive the whiskey, right? And so we started off in 5-gallon barrels that aged for 3 to 5 months, right? Sounds crazy now, but like what was cool about it is that whiskey tasted nothing like the stuff that we drink today, but we got it into probably the best spot that we could find. And then we adapted that whenever we moved to 10s. And then we adapted that whenever we moved to 25-gallon barrels. So we didn't just kind of throw a dart at the wall and let the whiskey sit for 4 years. So it's really cool whenever we've been able to kind of track data all the way back to 2016 and make subtle changes and constantly watching that, and then get to build a place around kind of what data points you think are super important for the process.
You guys have been innovating from the beginning, and you haven't stopped with that. Like, you guys are still innovating with different finishings and everything else.
Yeah.
We're in a room that's covered with the walls of different bottles that you guys have done previously. So there's lots of things that you guys have done either currently or in the past. So while you're doing that and you're coming up with new ideas, is there one of you that is coming up with the crazy ideas and the rest of you are following behind? Or is it kind of a collaborative, all of you come up with different crazy ideas?
One of us has the crazy ideas, the rest have good ideas.
All right. Who's the crazy one?
Oh, it's definitely a collaborative effort. I mean, there is not one driver of the bus here. We really all work together really well.
Even Chef Alex, who's been with us for a bit now, is a stud and a great with flavor and obviously in the kitchen, but he's also got a great palate for whiskey too, and that's been another great addition to the team. It's been cool to see.
And our audience will know that food and the mixing of that is really important and hard to do, but also very, very rewarding with our collaboration with Prince and everything else. So it's cool to see that done someplace else, because whiskey isn't necessarily always prepared like that. It's normally wine or whatever else. So having a whiskey pairing like that is a cool thing, and I'm really glad to see another chef out there doing that.
Yeah, because we were talking about earlier on the floor there that how when you pair the right meal or the right whiskey and the right pipe or cigar or whatever it is, it becomes a whole experience, right? It's not just the one thing or the other. It's not 3 different things put together, but it becomes a whole experience which wraps itself around a memory. Right. And a night spent together, talking or, whatever it is you're going through, you pair that with the whiskey and the whole memory becomes something that you will not forget. That is like the whole idea.
Yeah. Whiskey. I mean, we tell the story all the time. Whiskey is really about memories, right? I mean, there's something about whiskey when you sip it that triggers memories in your brain. I mean, my wife is massive peat head, and which is one of not one of the reasons, the only reason we actually have peated whiskeys in our portfolio,
Which is
because
amazing.
she loved them, and she would tell you that when she was drinking a peated Scotch, it took her back to her grandmother's basement, right? In Ohio, where you guys are from, her grandmother had like a dirt basement. And when she drank those peated whiskeys, it took her back to being a kid and being in her grandmother's basement. And maybe not drinking whiskey, but memories are so crucial. And that's what nobody remembers sipping their first vodka, right? I mean, but vodka doesn't take you back anywhere, but whiskey, just triggers those memories, and that's what's so
open,
special about it.
Shared with somebody, and the whole thing that encompasses.
I know Chris talks a lot about like where whiskey, especially craft whiskey, takes you when you're drinking it. It takes you to that old dusty barn. It reminds you of when you were mowing grass when you were a teenager. It reminds you of whatever that time is in your life that it kind of takes you back to. And I think there's a testament to that, like that you don't get with other alcohol.
Yeah, and it's not a reminder of a past drinking experience. It's just past in general. So like I grew up in essentially a non-drinking household. Like my parents didn't hardly drink at all. But all the time we'll taste something and I'll like think about a memory of a camping trip with dad or something like that. It's always in there like that. And it's just this amazing thing that whiskey has, that they're just these little bits inside of it that remind you of usually outdoor things in various forms, but how they do that. Also on the peated rye thing, I'm drinking the peated rye right now.
There you go. All right.
And this is heavenly.
Oh.
I'm also, I think all of us here are pretty big Scotch fans, but this is heavenly. Is this still available?
Yes, it is.
We've been trying to tell you about this, Steve.
I'll be going home with this.
We've been hitting on this, but the idea of mixing this style of rye with peat. Yeah. What an idea! Yeah. Like, and what a combination.
So, I mentioned my wife. So from day one, we had produced a peated bourbon. We brought in peated malt from Scotland. Made a bourbon mash, 60% Bloody Butcher corn, 30% peated malt, and it was great. It was kind of what put us on the map, I think, in terms of a very unique whiskey. But these guys, Rob and Kevin, came up with the idea of like, well, could we replicate that mash but with a rye?
Yeah, we're in Pennsylvania.
Instead of corn, and it hit so perfectly.
Based on talks that we've already had before, it sounds like the two boys here, the sons, are really the distillers. They're the ones that are
100%.
doing a lot of the.
I don't even know how to turn the boiler on.
That
At least you know you have a boiler.
That would be me in this situation.
So with that idea that you guys are like, well, we're in Pennsylvania, we need to do a rye. When your guys are coming up with mash bills and thinking about flavors and what are going to match together, is there somebody that's primarily doing that, or is that kind of everybody?
Ironically, the mash bills have all been we haven't changed the mash bill.
Yeah, we really haven't made with the mash bills were set whenever the company was open, and we haven't really messed with those too much. Yeah, we've had ability to kind of like adjust fermentation temps, yeast strains, distillation parameters, all barrel sizes, all that stuff. The one thing we've never really messed with is the mash bills.
This is it.
Yeah.
We are sticking with this.
I say that, but we whittled down the malt percentage pretty good. So we've had like subtle influences, but we haven't really.
But that's interesting. You're able to get that much variation out of basically the same mash bill that you've been using.
Well, and if you ask me, whenever it comes to making whiskey, it's really tough to say which variable is the most important, right? Because really it's all about, there's 800 of them, and you need to line them up in a way that they all work together.
Right.
It's really there's 4 different ways that you can make a mash and it all work out great. It's just, marrying that with how you run your stills, with what your barrels are and where you stick them for 4 years or how long you age them for. So,
I mean, that just is a testament to, like, it doesn't matter how much people think they know about, okay, let me read the stats on this bottle or whatever. That means nothing. But there's so many variables that comes to this specific product, this spirit, that everything changes, even if the mash bill doesn't.
Yep.
Like you have so many things that can change that. I mean, what a crazy commodity.
Yeah, like for instance, before we introduce my mom, for instance, like one thing you'll be really excited about is like with this, we run a high rye bourbon mash bill. It's not always available. We started making it for real in early 2022, so it'll be 4 years old after Christmas. So it's getting close. Like we can start to taste it, and the barrels seem to be cooperating and seem to be on about that 4 year timeline. We're really messing around right now with whether or not the rye goes in with the corn or the rye goes in after the corn. Seems like such a subtle change, but like you can really drive floral rye flavors. You can really drive like spicy cinnamon kind of rye flavors. So it's interesting.
It is really interesting. And now that we have another member joining us.
We do.
Come on, sit down. We got a chair for you.
We've been talking amongst the podcast group for a while about maybe changing up our setup and adding more mics. And I think this just confirms we need to do that.
Yeah, we need more mics.
Yeah.
So Mom has joined us.
Yes.
Heck
Mom,
yeah.
what's your name?
Ellen.
Good to meet you,
Yes.
Ellen. Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Me
So
too.
the whole
I
family
really
is
respect
here.
you guys.
Family's here, yeah.
This is an honor.
So the brains of the operation.
That's right. We have the brains. Yeah.
The brains, the reason behind our branding and our story. Yeah, Ellen.
So I'd like to ask you, then in that case, I'd like to ask you a question about the branding. So we talked a lot about like the Liberty Pole and a lot about the Whiskey Rebellion. So I'm assuming it was probably you that kind of had the say so on the building, the facility, right? It's beautiful. You've got the wood beams, you've got the stone, the old style tables, colonial style, tables for people to sit at. Talk me through a little bit about that, kind of where you went with that and how you got to where you are with the facility now.
Oh, that's really, I'll be flat out honest with you. I like everything to be where I would enjoy drinking a whiskey with Jim and the boys. Could I just sit down and relax and drink whiskey with them? When we first started, it was difficult to find a brand because everything related to Whiskey Rebellion had already been trademarked. And so the only thing that was unique was, of course, did you guys tell them about the Liberty Pole?
Yep.
And so the only thing that was unique was that Liberty Pole concept. And so it was easy to pronounce, easy to remember. And we thought that was the one thing that made us unique. But I still stand by, our whiskey is fabulous in my mind. I think my family is amazing. Therefore, the way that you decorate the tasting room and the way that the experience that everyone has to be perfect and well balanced for, I got to have good food. I got to have good whiskey. I got to have a beautiful environment. And we just seem to be very blessed in that we've been lucky enough to hit all those points. So
You guys have done a wonderful job of it. I mean, the place does scream colonial, and so it does have that feel to it. I'm the history buff in the group, and so
good.
I'm a history major, and like Civil War was kind of my period that I really liked. And as time has gone on, I've moved farther and farther back to Revolution and Whiskey Rebellion era. So all of this is just really cool, and it's a really awesome space. The way you've decorated it and the way it's done up, and calling it a meeting room, and all of that, it's staying very honest to the brand. So it works out really well. So
but not as a gimmick.
No, not as a gimmick. Exactly. Yeah. This is not Colonial Williamsburg. This is, yeah.
But as a good whiskey in a good soft chair in a really high beamed, it's perfect. I think it's perfect. I feel really blessed.
It is. And thank you they told us the story before you got here about peated whiskey and you being the impetus for that. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
This is heavenly.
Steve's over the moon.
Yeah.
Super excited. Between this and then having an American single malt that Chris likes, which is amazing. He doesn't like any of them. I love them. I always like them.
I have not.
And so-
I've not committed to liking any American single malt.
Yeah.
I think this is it. I think this is
Maybe,
it.
yeah.
So, but I think that's interesting. Like, again, it shows that there's so many facets of this whole company, you guys' whole brand, and that you guys all are working together to fill out every facet.
I think that it's a very competitive market when you take a look at how great Kentucky bourbons are and you look at great scotches, and Japan's even entering the market. Then we have to be on our toes on every part of it. It has to be the full experience.
You know, I like to say that, like, I think we're like phase 2 of the craft revolution in craft whiskey, right? we stand on the shoulders of, the initial guys that started craft whiskey. We're in that second generation, 2014, 15, 16, when we got our start. I think, we in the early days, craft spirits were so unique. You could have literally put up a pole barn, had a still, and people would beat down the door to come to you. That's not the case anymore. You really have to have an experience. You have to have great liquid. You have to have an experience, good cocktails, good food. And I think that's what this new location has really given us.
Did you ever tell them about Bill Samuels talking to you that one night?
So I mentioned that we were so lucky to be in Washington, Pennsylvania, right? Home of the Whiskey Rebellion. So Washington, Pennsylvania actually has a annual Whiskey Rebellion festival. And Jim Beam Suntory is a big sponsor of that. And so they used to bring in the heavy hitters, man. Fred No came in and who's the guy from
Lefroy.
Simon Brookings
Right.
was there. And one year, Bill Samuels came in, Maker's Mark, right? So that was the year that we were getting close to opening up. And
the city was so proud of us.
So proud that we were going to have a whiskey distillery in the city. They made sure that we got to meet Bill Samuels.
We got all dressed up.
And have you ever met Bill Samuels? He's a very kind of frank guy. I mean,
but he's nice.
He's very nice, but he doesn't have a filter. And so we met Bill Samuels, and Tripp, the guy from the Whiskey Rebellion Festival, said, "Bill, this is Jim and Ellen. They're opening up a whiskey distillery right here in Washington, Pennsylvania." Bill Samuels looked me in the eye and said, "Why the hell would you do that?"
You'll
right?
never succeid, he said.
And, wow. and honestly, he was right. I mean, opening up a whiskey distillery is very, it's a challenge. And I mean, I can see from his point of view how he would, offer that experience, offer that advice.
So truthfully, you kind of felt sad. And you go back out to the car when the banquet's over, and you're like, "Oh." And I said, "Come on, Jim, that's the fire we need."
Yeah, and that's a good wife standing behind her husband. Yeah. We need that, right?
You can do this.
Yeah.
You know what they say? The easiest way to make a small fortune in distilling: start with a large fortune. And we had neither. So,
here we are.
But you guys had a great idea, and you have, I think, through the family aspect and the integrity that you guys have shown and everything else, you guys have worked and built this thing up to be something that is really something.
The integrity part I really want to hit on now that you guys are all here. So we know on the podcast, we talked about my first experience when I came here and having the experience of someone in the bottle shop not necessarily saying wonderful words about another local distillery. And that really immediately was like, okay, we're done. But then we got to meet you guys. And that completely changed everything, completely changed the moment, the story behind the whiskey, the story behind the distillery. The integrity piece that I want to hit on, and really, if you guys are open, ask you guys, when you guys heard that, you reached out to us and said, that hurts. Like that really hurt. When we heard that kind of broke our heart of that would happen here. And we want to try to help change that. Why would that matter that much?
I think anyone could answer this of us. Yeah. But reputation is the hardest thing to build, and it's the fastest thing to lose, right? And so we would rather be known for doing great stuff and having our own stuff that it builds a reputation that way than putting other people down. So that's not, like, you don't really get ahead by doing that. So, but
I feel like it goes deeper than that. And here's why I'm going to say this. We were just at Wiggle, and the guy that we spoke with had nothing but great things to say about you guys. I mean, he was actually kind of jealous of the fact he wasn't coming with us to be a part of this. He had nothing but great things. He kept talking about you guys brought them over here, kind of wined him, dined him, got to talk to him, and it just, everything just kept coming out, and he couldn't believe it. It was just one of those moments of like, it goes beyond a reputation. It goes beyond that. I see a moment of you guys saying, we're family. We want to make this happen. Everyone else around, he's like, why would you do this? Like out here, why would you do this? You're not going to survive. How would you survive? It's craft, it's local. What? It's a rough area to possibly start that. But I think you guys have the integrity that is necessary to allow this to survive. Yeah, it really is showing. Yeah.
So we like to, say that we're not competing with Wiggle. We're not competing with Iron City Distilling. We're partners. It's an overused phrase, but a rising tide lifts all boats. We want all craft distilleries to do well. We want them all to produce great whiskeys because, you may not come to us first. You may go somewhere else. And if you have a bad experience, you may not come to see us. So we root for all of these guys. We're really partners. We're not competitors. Honestly, we're friends. We hang out. Yeah, it's just such a really fun industry. We help each other.
I would also like to add that I think we have customers who fully appreciate the craft. And I don't think you find that in other industries. We can't let our customers down.
It's exciting to see what happens with whiskey whenever you go outside of that realm of Kentucky, because that's arguably some of the best whiskey you get in America, right? If this is the big umbrella of what American whiskey could be, they'd stay in a very small sliver of it. So it's cool whenever you get more and more of these craft distilleries coming up where one person likes to play over here, another person likes to play over here, and you start getting a lot more diversity all of a sudden in the products you have available.
We touched on that earlier. I think there's still some people, obviously, after the bourbon craze that are bottle chasing and whatever else. But I think there's more and more people that are searching out for this craft aspect. And it is so obvious. I mean, it is artistry in a bottle. That is what it is. And I think people are really starting to realize there's such an appreciation for this. You guys encapsulate that 100%. And you're not going to get that with the big names. You're just not. And again, going back to what you were saying, you're friends with these other distilleries. You guys aren't working against each other. You're working with each other. What an interesting market, commodity, whatever you want to call it, that does that kind of a thing. You don't see that nowadays. Even people that paint pictures wouldn't say that. You guys are doing that, and you're doing it in a venue that works with that. And it only adds to the legitimacy of your guys' brand.
Last time I was here, we talked about David from Still 630.
David Weglar.
Yeah.
He's a legend.
He's a legend, yeah.
He makes good whiskey too.
He does. Yeah.
So Chris was not able to be a part of that. Steve and I went to go interview him. And when we went to go interview him, a couple days before that, Penelope got sold. And I remember talking to Dave and bringing that up, and he was just frustrated beyond belief. And the frustration for him was the integrity aspect, the heart, the soul, the blood, sweat, and tears going into the craft whiskey world, and seeing him and you guys together. I'm like, you guys fit perfect. Like, you have that same passion, that same love for what you do, and then you put so much into this, and you see someone that doesn't have that same integrity, doesn't have that same passion, doesn't have that same drive, that gets sold for billions, and you're like, well, why? Not that I want to sell, but why not me? What am I missing? And that was a big, and it was a good question, a good conversation that we had with him. And I say that to say that we see these craft distilleries popping up that really care, and we see these bourbon hunters, and they don't really collide together. But the ones that go after the craft distilleries are the ones that are like, I see what you're doing. I see, real deal. Yeah, I see what you're doing, and I appreciate every aspect. Chris may not love American single malts, but he appreciates the aspect of creating that American.
He loves one.
Yes, he loves one. It's this, yeah.
On record, he loves one.
Yes.
We did an entire American single malt series in order to find one.
And I crapped over everyone. Yeah. Steve's going to go home and write in his diary, like, Chris liked an American single malt.
Yeah.
It's funny to say that. Rob, I think, has a really good way of kind of describing it. Like, when you look at Kentucky, whiskey, it's a sliver of what American whiskey can be. Yeah. And so one thing that we've been excited about is just like, you can find a niche in doing something that is not that little sliver. And if you do it well, for everyone that was like into whiskey maybe 20 years ago, before like it got really hard like to get stuff, they're like looking for what's interesting, what's cool out there. And man, if you can do this outside of that Kentucky sliver, but do it very well, what a cool world to live in. That's really rewarding, and you get to, you know, meet people who are really into it, and it's a cool opportunity.
I like meeting the women who like whiskey. They like it more for the emotional aspect. This reminds me of my father. This reminds me of something in their lives. And I've had a chance to drink with some of the finest women I've ever met who have a much more substantial knowledge and have taught me a lot about whiskey. But I think it's undercutting the whiskey industry if you leave out the fact that there are amazing women who understand and love it as well.
That's one of my favorite things is my wife is not a big drinker, but she will try a sip of something that I'm drinking just to kind of get the idea of like, okay, what are you experiencing right now? And even if she's not like a big drinker, she appreciates the flavor. And I'll explain to her what I'm getting, and she'll say what she's getting. And like you said, a lot of times it's tied to emotion. But I think that's what whiskey is, right?
Well, whiskey is so connected to wine with the terroir, in that, you know, it depends on the region how the wine tastes. And it's the same with whiskey. How the whiskey tastes depends on the region. So I agree with you that I think I started out learning whiskey by sharing Jim's just to see what he was experiencing. And now the two of us are like, tonight we could use a whiskey. We never say that with other spirits, right? It's so weird about whiskey that you do that.
Yeah, when we mentioned before, like whiskey has this ability to take you back to some sort of a memory.
Right, absolutely.
It's not even necessarily a drinking memory. It's just a memory of some sort. And so like I lost my father over the summer here, and it was an unexpected sort of thing. And he wasn't a drinker at all. And so, but we spent a lot of time outdoors, a lot of camping and all that stuff. So all the time I'll taste whiskeys and it'll like bring me back to some sort of a camping memory or something like that. And it's just this amazing emotional feeling that you can get out of whiskey.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Totally.
You know, talking about David and, you know, Penelope, you know, the NDPs and God bless them. I mean, they're doing wonderful things with whiskey, but they have access, you know, especially guys like Penelope, to so many more barrels. They have the ability to kind of get volume plays, right? That'll never be us. I mean, you know, we've never sourced a drop of whiskey. So like that's not even on our radar to kind of have that sort of event happen for us. But yeah, you know, God bless them.
On that front, you know, crafted whiskeys, we've talked to a lot of them, and all of them have different ways that they got started. And whiskey has this fortunate and unfortunate aspect of time. That means that
it's the worst business.
So like when you get started in a whiskey company, like you can't sell anything for, you know, a couple years, or, you know, depending on however long you're going to take.
Now you tell me.
So with that, you guys chose not to source from the get-go. What did you guys do to get started in order to start those first few years?
To me, it's one of the things I think what I'm most proud of, to be honest. And we haven't seen a lot of people do it, and maybe Rob, you chime in. But it was all small barrels, so 5-gallon barrels. The surface area to volume ratio on the 5-gallon barrel, it's a lot smaller. So our first stuff, batches, they were 3-month old. And honestly, looking back at it, like I think we were idiots. Like we literally put on the front label, aged for a minimum of 3 months. Like that was on the front label.
You were honest.
What a sight!
And again,
Brutally honest.
Yeah.
Transparent.
But you know, Rob kind of alluded a little bit too. Like we learned a lot from that process, and then we went half of the whiskey in 5-gallon barrels, half into 10-gallon barrels, and the 10-gallon barrels started sitting for 6 months. And then half into 10, half into 15-gallon barrels. And some of those 15-gallon barrels started sitting for a year. And you're starting to learn a little bit of it. I still remember me and Rob were, you know, we were doing a tails cut at one point, and like we were like, I think we need a little bit more of these fatty acids and these oils to get into the barrel to oxidize out, to esterify. And we're like, I think we need to go a little bit heavier into our hearts cut. And I remember we were stirring the tank, and we're like, we might be updating our resumes in like a year. Like maybe this sucks, right? But made a big jump of that new distillate into the barrels. But and then 15-gallon barrels to 25 and 25 to 30 and 30 to 53. And so our way of doing it, rather than putting it all into big barrels and making vodka and gin in the meantime till it ages, was just to always do whiskey, and it just progressively got older as the barrel size got bigger.
That is
pretty cool.
Like, it's such a leap of faith, right? And I think that's the thing that you're starting to see with people that drink whiskey is there's this shift from what I consider to be quality is from these big, massive companies to what I see quality as these people that are hand touching these products. Yeah. And me being a pipe smoker, that's one of those things. You know, there's a lot of tobacco blends that are massively produced that are the big names. And there are a lot of pipe companies where you buy a pipe. And again, it's machine piped or whatever, machine made pipe. You know, as a pipe smoker, eventually you get to a point where you're like, no, I'd rather have somebody hand carve a pipe that spent time on and is one of a kind. And this has so much more value to me. And same thing with a small batch pipe blend. This was meticulously made. To me, that's quality, right? And that's exactly what you guys are kind of doing. And you're starting to do it with more volume. Like, wow. Like, you know what I mean? So, like, I think people are starting to see that shift of, okay, what I see was quality from these big companies that are massively producing something with really very little, sometimes very little work and ethic and everything else, that I'm starting to shift towards this, like, these guys are really, really innovating. And they're really putting their heart and soul into this. What you just described to me is everything about what quality is. And you don't get that with these big, massive produced companies.
Well, I think it's a cool part about that is there's been a lot of really successful craft guys that have started up with the consultants, and there's some really talented consultants, and they know what they're doing, and they set you up. We didn't do that, and that's either good or bad, right? It doesn't matter. But I think what's cool about it is that it's very much uniquely ours, right? It's you know, hey, we didn't like this particular flavor, we adjusted this and we tweaked it. It wasn't just like here's a set of rules to play by, and so I think we're very happy with where it's ended up, and it's cool now, especially knowing that it's entirely our process. It's not someone else's set of rules.
I got to tell you a story I haven't told you guys yet. So a couple months ago, a guy came in and asked for me. And I went to talk to him, and he said, do you remember when you first started at the old place? There was an event space next door. There was a wedding going on, and it must have been our second or third run. We were sitting on the floor with that whiskey that we had taken out of the still, and we had a big funnel into one of those little barrels, and we were scooping it. And this wedding,
That's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
So this wedding party, we were ladling it into barrels, and this wedding party came over, and we were just like, hey, we're trying to do everything we can to drum up business, right? This wedding party came over, and they stood there and they watched us. And apparently, I do not remember that part of it, but apparently we gave them some. And the guy said to me, I just want to tell you that I have followed you over these last 10 years. You still have the same flavor. It's always the same flavor. It just gets more and more complex. And he goes, I feel like I'm part owner of your business. I think it was maybe trying to get a free bottle. And I gave him one. But he was saying that it really, over time, I've watched, it's not that you guys needed to update your resume. It's that we really have grown with the product, and that there are some loyal customers out there apparently who've watched us and are fully invested in us as well.
You can't feign that personal touch.
No, it was wild because I still remember that wedding vividly. The bride's down there laughing and we're scoping it into.
That's the best, though. You can't fake that.
That wasn't the one that Rob said, father of the bride.
I love that. I love those memories. And we talk about uniqueness, right? For you guys have two unique grains within your bourbon, one within the bourbon, one within the rye. Coming from Ohio, I'd say they're unique. So you got the Bloody Butcher corn, which we've talked to Jeff the Creed in depth about that. They grow it themselves, and what I've been told is it's a pain in the ass. So you guys have it, you guys use it, and then you also have Monongahela rye, if I'm pronouncing it right, which I've also been told is
pain in the ass.
Yeah, exactly. So why, with you guys trying to grow, you guys trying to be uniquely you, why those two grains?
I mean, you hit it on uniquely us, right? I'll take Bloody Butcher. You guys can do Monongahela, but when we were starting, Ellen, and it always comes back to Ellen. So I'm not going.
I'm like, we got to have different grain, Jim.
So
we can't use Agway.
She did some research, and we actually tracked down a fairly, and I'm not going to name the family name, but a fairly notorious moonshining family in the area, and we went to talk to one of the descendants and said, if you were going to make a legal whiskey, what would you use? And he said Bloody Butcher corn, 100%. And I've heard Jephthah Creed, and I love their story that like they would grow number 2 Yellow Dent and they would grow Bloody Butcher, and the deer would eat the Bloody Butcher, right? And I mean that in a nutshell, that describes why we use Bloody Butcher. It's delicious, right? Yeah. Even the deer know it. So, right?
The farmer used to come and cry, I tried so hard to grow you something.
Yeah. It's very telling when nature takes its course.
The stalks are super tall, yields low per acre, they get blown over and windstorms.
And every year I got to raise the price. I got to raise the price.
Any pesticides.
It's a pain, that much of a pain in the ass. It's a good product.
Yeah. But it was a staple of the American diet in the 19th century, right? Yeah. Bloody Butcher corn is just very flavorful, and I like to talk about a lot of bourbons talk about rye or wheat being their flavoring grains, right? Bloody Butcher corn is our flavoring grain. We use wheat or rye as kind of an augmentation grain, right? Wheat softens it up a little bit, but we get a ton of flavor from the Bloody Butcher corn.
It's red, as the moonshiner described to me. It's the red it comes from phosphorus, and when the yeast eat the phosphorus, they give you a much more earthy whiskey. So.
And then Monongahela, right?
Is it Monongahela, or how do you pronounce it?
Monongahela.
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 We've been mispronouncing it for a long time.
Monongahela. You got something in your throat.
Whatever you say.
That and rye, somewhere there.
We've been butchering it.
We've been butchering. There we go.
Yeah, exactly.
You're from Pittsburgh, you call it the Mon.
The Mon rye. Down the Mon. So I'd say that's more of the style of rye whiskey. The varietal of rye that is grown for us is what we call Danko rye. And the style itself is very interesting, though. So our big thing, you have MGP rye, 95.5 on a column still, great rye. And then you have a Kentucky style rye, which they don't really love rye because it's gummy, it's hard to work with. So they try to put as much corn as they possibly can in, right? So you have your Kentucky ryes that are 51% rye, bare minimum amount of rye, and then a lot of corn. Both also delicious too, right? Traditional Pennsylvania or Monongahela style rye generally had no corn in the mash bill. So when they were making whiskey, and you kind of have two eras. You have your colonial Monongahela rye, which is more our brand, and then you have your industrial age Monongahela rye. So pre-Prohibition, there was a lot of whiskey being drank out of Pennsylvania, arguably more than Kentucky, right? I mean, this was kind of a home of American whiskey for a long time. Industrial age Monongahela rye like to use heated warehouses and 3-chamber stills, and then old Monongahela rye you potentially would throw in whatever the heck you had, which is why we think our kind of style with the 13% wheat is a neat kind of nod to our colonial style. So, but essentially, whenever the real kind of down and dirty version of Monongahela rye is it's a no corn mash bill with a little bit higher malt. It should be, in our opinion, distilled batch. So no column stills, which we are massive advocates for pot stills. And so batch distilled, no corn rye with a little bit higher malt content, 15-20%.
So
more hearty.
Before we started recording, I told these guys Sam Kamlenik's favorite advertisement from industrial age prohibition, pre-prohibition rye. Our rye whiskey is made with no drugs, corn, or other poison.
I love the fact that you guys just as Mary would say, nerded out about whiskey. So the wife loves the fact that someone asks me a question about a bottle, and I will go on for 30 minutes about why it is what it is, and it's amazing. You gotta do this, gotta do that, and it's so different from this, and so different from that. So you guys just, I mean, you nerded out in there completely, and I love that. But I say that because we've got 5 bottles sitting on this table right now. Not a single one of them are the same. Oh no, right? Not a single one of them are the same. And yet all of them tell a different story, have the same quality, and are amazing. Like you guys, 5 different bottles, and they have the same quality and share a different story all at the same time. Like, it's insane. That's it's nuts.
Thank you guys. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a high compliment. We appreciate that.
So I want to ask the 4 of you, because there are so many bottles that you guys have done over the past however many years that you guys, and lots of finishings, lots of different ryes and bourbons. What is the bottle that you are most, either we can say favorites, but favorite, most proud of, the one you really like, or the one you have the best story
If
for?
you had to pick your favorite
Each
child,
one of us will have a different bottle.
I think, yeah. So for me, I like to watch people, and as they've come in, as each member of the family has come in, they've all looked for a specific
different bottle. Yep, I've noticed the same
all
thing.
4 of them have picked different bottles.
That's been so much
I'm
fun.
curious to see what all their answers are. That was actually going to be my next question is, like, what's the bottle that you reach for first? Or what's the bottle that you're like, that's going to take me to that?
Great.
that
Fantastic. Ellen, do you want to start? Because we know what you're going to pick.
Yeah, I've got the smoky jacket here, although that's not, there are, I'm saying that is my favorite. It's peated bourbon. I will go for peated bourbon every chance I get. And I find that hard to believe, being as a person who likes Scotch. The corn part of this surprises me how much I enjoy that flavor. But any of our single barrel peated bourbons are delicious.
So that was a single barrel peated bourbon.
It's the only one I just tasted. Oh,
Yeah.
Just the nose.
So
That's a heavy peach one.
you brought that off the shelf, and that's the one you drank, and you gave me a glass right away, and I was drinking the peated rye, and I really enjoyed the peated rye. But when you gave me the peated bourbon, it does add a bit of a sweetness to it, but that smoke is still really much alive and well. And
got a long
man,
finish.
does it? And that's the thing
Yeah,
right
it
there.
just
It's the
stays
finish.
with you.
And that
It
particular
lasts.
single barrel is probably one of the smokier ones we've done. Why it got single barrel.
Which is
that's
So well done.
It's crazy because we've talked about, so big Scotch lovers, we've talked about there's different regions within Scotland. And you get different styles of peat within each one. And I absolutely love, and always talk about the peated rye. In fact, the day after my wife and I visited you guys, I bought a bottle, and Chris and I opened the bottle and finished it in a couple hours. It didn't take long. Because
like an hour and a half.
Yeah, it was like this Lafroig Lagavulin, like it was this weird combination with rye. It was wonderful. It was amazing. It's everything I wanted. Now this peated bourbon, it's like going from Lafroig Lagavulin to like Highland Park. It's going to a completely different peat.
I totally agree with the
it's
Highland
wonderful.
Park.
Yeah, it's.
But
it
I
adds
have to
something
tell you
else.
the story behind the peated bourbon just real quick is that the night that Jim was thinking about considering opening a distillery, I may have said, you don't make good enough whiskey to open a distillery. I may have said that. And he went and got this peated malted barley from Scotland and mixed it with his bourbon from a beer store and mixed it with his corn mash. And to this day, it will be that you guys better drink this at my funeral, because to me, this was what got us started.
That's messed up.
I'm sorry. Whoa. All right, we found the line. All right, we got to it.
We always have said you guys are on the hook.
All right, cool. I like to
This
push
is
to the line.
sentimental. It's a sentimental whiskey for
He's the
me.
more logical brother, not the humor one.
Yeah, he'll make sure he was like, "We've got this." Mom said. Mom said.
Ask for forgiveness.
Peated rye is fabulous, but the peated bourbon
And
is sentimental.
I never thought that you could, with an American whiskey or American bourbon, right? I never thought you could change that profile like you could within Scotch, and it's crazy that you can. And
Yeah.
I agree.
As long as 51% of your malt bills, that
Right.
corner, that rye,
New barrels.
it's crazy because we'll grind up this smoked malt And smell is very much present in the cooker. It's very much present throughout fermentation. You put it in the stills. It sticks even through distillation and then ages 4 years into that. So it's cool.
That's aromatic like a English tobacco.
Yeah, 100%.
That smells fantastic.
It's a flavor addition that sticks around. So yeah, you got to run your laundry a lot whenever you're making it.
or not.
Yeah.
Or if you like the smell, don't.
Or not. Usually wears the same shirt on.
Right.
I'm Peter week, I do.
Yeah. This is quite something.
Jim, how about you?
So my favorite is actually and I don't think we have a bottle on the table, is I do love the single malt, but my favorite release that we do over and over is the high rye bourbon. So
that's what we pulled this one.
Oh yeah,
this was just from the immersion tour.
So our take on this high rye bourbon, from day one we've made a wheat bourbon, and I talked to you guys earlier about why we like wheat, soft, approachable. But as Rob and Kevin's talked about, we're a proud Pennsylvania rye distillery, and we started thinking about, okay, these Kentucky ryes, they're 51% rye, they're barely legal rye whiskeys, and a lot of corn. So why don't we flip that over and do a barely legal bourbon? So we started doing this 51% Bloody Butcher corn, 40% rye. So it's almost a boo rye, right? And to this day, that is my favorite recipe we make. And we're about 6 months away from having that as kind of a regular product on our portfolio. When we started really realizing how good it was 3.5 years ago, we started making more of it. We've released some 4-year-old single barrels. We have one on the table now, but I love that. It's a Pennsylvania bourbon, right? It's a bourbon, but man, the rye influence is there.
And it's coming up to that age where it's just ready. Yeah, that's fantastic.
I'll get a little nerdy. Mine is a couple single barrels of rye whiskey, of course. So with these pot stills, we're able to put out some really rich, viscous whiskeys, lots of oils, and whenever those oxidize out over 4 years in open air rickhouse, right? Getting the oak out of the barrel to us is a little bit easier than getting all the oxygen in there to actually esterify some of these oils. So having a couple of these rye whiskeys that get up there towards that 4 to 5, 6 year old range, highly esterified but still pot stilled, viscous. Those are my favorite ones.
The one thing that stands out the most is when you're playing in those different areas, you're playing in the areas that you love, right? Yeah. The areas that you're passionate about, and that shows through with your guys' whiskey. I feel like more than a lot of other distillers across America for sure. And then that you can tell that this is an area you want to be in. And even you said the boys were like, this is ready. And it's 4 years and 11 months.
3 days short of it.
Yeah, let's wait another month and call it a 5-year, whiskey.
It was literally that was short stack, and it was 3 days.
Stack, yeah. 3 days.
You're just wait.
Oh, yeah.
Let it go.
They're excited.
Yeah, exactly. They're excited. But when you're playing with something that you love and that you're passionate about, and that's what you love, that's going to bleed through to the consumer. That's going to bleed through to people who buy from you.
So one of the things that I heard at an early distilling conference we went to is make what you like, because if you fail, you may have to drink it all.
I love it.
That's a pretty good point. And we were at the Craft Distillers Festival. Yeah. And we talked to a couple of distillers and we were talking about, and they're like, well, we like, this is what we like, and it's 5 of us guys. We're all friends. And this is the stuff that we like. So it's nice to hear feedback from other people that you like it too, because now we kind of know, we feel like we're on the right track. And I think the biggest point is not trying to appeal to something that you're not, right? Being authentic. And that comes back to that authenticity. It's being who you are and playing in that space that you want to be in. And I think people will find you there.
So we've seen that, right? We're trying to kind of raise brand awareness a little bit. We're sending out samples. And I've noticed that sending out samples to content creators that play in the BTAC, Kentucky column distilled whiskey versus guys like you that are like open to craft, like our products get so much more positive feedback from, from guys that are willing to, think outside the box, right? You're not only going to look for a BTAC or a Weller or something, right?
Well, and I think it's less, we keep talking about parsing out, the hunters versus the lovers, right? I think it also comes down to why we started the podcast and around whiskey was the why behind the what. Why do you guys do what you do? Because sitting here, going through the tour with you guys, I am 100% bought into why you guys do what you do. You guys are a family that care about each other. You care about the product. You guys give each other shit sometimes about like, oh, it's ready, not ready, and you fight about that. But at the end of the day, you guys sit together and say, this is what we want, and this is what we're going to do. And we 100% say, we agree with this. This is what we love. I found that the craft lovers buy into the why. They fall in love with that idea of what you're doing. They fall in love with the idea of who you are, right? Yeah, and then they go, what you're selling, it matches why you're doing it. And because of that, I now have memories, right? I now have those memories of tasting this and going, oh man, I'm now brought back to my grandparents at the barn or at the farm, at these different moments, right? I'm brought back to those memories because I bought into what you're doing and I love what you're doing.
That's exactly why. So years ago when Nick and I came together and started the club, the Whiskey Chasers Club, it was because we enjoyed a whiskey together that made so much more than the drinking or the flavor. There was every aspect that went into it. We said, we want to share this with people. So we started this club, and born out of that club with like-minded individuals, Steve was like, let's do this podcast. And we can talk about how we feel about this stuff, right? And when we started this years ago, and it's gotten to this point where that's exactly what it is. What you're talking about is why we love whiskey. It's not the actual drink itself. It's what it brings out in us. And that is exactly what you guys are doing. And it gives me like chills, honestly, we've done interviews with other companies and stuff, and I've always said like, well, I have this favorite and this favorite, but I hate to say it.
Let's go.
I hate to say it, but like I've gone like you guys have such a place in my heart at this point that you guys embody everything that we sought out to create with the club and the podcast. And when I talk about whiskey, and my wife kind of rolls her eyes and stuff, but she knows like that this is something that I care about because of all the things that it brings out in me and in the conversations I have with other people. And it's the whole experience. And you guys embody that 100%. Like you guys have become like my favorite. Like, Before we
get too far into that, though, Kevin, we have not heard your favorite, and I'm just saying, I'm writing my will.
Hey, I agree with that.
Which
your
one
whole
you
point
pick could
is great.
influence.
That was awesome. I was enjoying that, and man, that's a hard question. I feel like a cop-out answer, but I love the foolproof. I feel like, especially, it's the only one we put a batch number on for like our non-single barrel product. And with the name, the Monongahela, foolproof behind it, I feel like there was so much like, I don't know, there's like pressure behind it. The name is important. The history of PA Rye is important. So we've put a lot into it. Every time we blend these and we batch number it, like it's a very big ordeal. And I feel like I enjoy it a lot, and batches can be like subtly different. And so, but 108 proof rye, like I feel like I generally almost always find myself going for that one.
Funny thing is, that's the one that we had on the podcast. Yeah. And that's the one that, again, I experienced here and I bought here and I kept to myself until we did the podcast, which was pretty recent. I kind of got yelled at by these two guys. Like, why were you keeping the secret? Like, what is going on right now? And then they tried to toast it.
Oh, yeah.
And they said, what the hell is happening?
Yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah.
Why? What is going on? Why did you keep this?
Well, not to tease you at all, but the along the same lines that Toasted is, it kind of sparked an urge to maybe start doing some double oaking of whiskeys, which is very similar to Toasted barrels, but with a little more of that charred sweet marshmallow And I think there's double oaks they're wheated bourbons, and they're ready to roll probably in a month.
Yes, please.
So on that, I want to kind of like, so we got a chance to try some stuff that you guys are about to come out with.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about like some of the things that you guys are about to release, which I will say, I think all of us can agree were fantastic.
We might roll a barrel out without them knowing. Yeah.
We always tell people if you can pick them up, you can take them.
I might have to give it a try.
Don't say that. Some of these guys look strong. I mean, he looks strong. Totally.
Is that 4 of us? Can we all 4 lift it up?
Yes, baby. Out the door because
How does that work?
everybody stand by.
So years ago, we decided, like, Black Friday is great and Small Business Saturday is great. And those are wonderful days for small businesses to, introduce products. But, we kind of always said, man, I would rather like sell whiskey on Wednesday before Thanksgiving so people can take it to Thanksgiving dinner and drink it and enjoy
Like
it.
you were talking about.
So,
Yeah.
so because whiskey is meant to be enjoyed, right? So we came up with the idea of doing single barrel releases on Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Triple same.
Well, was it always triple sing? But
No,
but
it's just
but
been the last
it's
couple
evolved into a triple single barrel.
That one year there were 3 barrels that were perfect. We couldn't decide. We released them and people loved it. They bought all 3. And they take it to Thanksgiving and who decides who likes what, and you sit accordingly at the table.
Yeah, what a great night.
This year, we always, I think, try to do a theme. So this year's triple single barrel is finished whiskeys. So we have some fantastic finished whiskeys that we're going to release the day before Thanksgiving.
Rye whiskey finished in Tawny Port. Our shout out to Midwinter Site Dram. Yeah, really solid.
Perfect for wintertime.
A rye whiskey finished in a local meadery barrel, which is awesome. That's Chef Alex's favorite.
Yeah, that was
my
mind-blowing.
favorite.
Yeah.
As well.
He really likes that. And then a mesquite rye finished in a Oloroso.
Yeah, that is the cigar blend.
That's
If
the
you
one.
can do that all
That's
year
the
round,
cigar
that's a
blend.
cigar
Well,
blend.
That's a
I
crazy
have to
whiskey,
say
yeah.
that I was not excited about mesquite in that barrel because I wanted the peated bourbon to go into
She
that
told
barrel.
us plenty of times.
But I will say,
He's a believer.
This is the first time we've ever heard
I will
this,
say, oh my gosh, that's really good.
shines.
So, if you're really shaky about trying that one, trust me,
It's really good.
it turned
Yeah.
out
Mesquite's where
way
it's at.
better.
Yeah. Well, we thought that day is such a fun day. It is like the community aspect. It's fun, all being together. We like the thought of it. The 3 came about honestly because we thought it'd be fun to have like a couple options. So maybe someone likes peat, maybe someone doesn't. So if you want to come out, try them. You get to at least try 3. Don't get all 3. Find the one that you like. And so it's kind of been a fun tradition. Chef now makes like burgers that pair with each of the so I'll have like 3 different burger options.
My suggestion will be to buy all 3.
For sure. Yeah. Well, wonderful. I just want to really thank everybody for letting us come out and like hosting us and giving us a fantastic warm welcome. I mean, we have been able to go through the rickhouse, go down,
Which is beautiful.
tasted stuff from the barrels. Like a fantastic welcome to us, and so I really, really appreciate that.
We've done this a number of times. This was really something special.
It really was. We will have all of your social links and all that kind of stuff listed down in the show notes. We'll have all of that. We have these finishing barrels that are coming out around Thanksgiving, so make sure to get out if you get a chance. Can people buy things online, or are they only available at the distillery?
So we ship all of our portfolio to Pennsylvania. Okay. We do have a limited portfolio that ships to outside of PA, mainly our rye centric.
Now,
but soon to be in Ohio.
We're in Ohio. There's a chance that you guys
there's
are.
a chance.
There's a chance you're getting into Ohio.
We have just been approved as a business in Ohio. We are trying to get into the OHLQ. Probably no earlier than April of next year, but we're working on it.
It's going to be awesome.
But that's because we've had customers who've come here, traveled from Ohio, and asked for us.
Like, why the heck is this not in Ohio?
Right.
That's exactly what they say.
Yes, and but make the trip to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is a cool little city.
Yeah.
We just spent some time there while we were here on this trip. It's a cool little area, so for sure get out here and just check it out.
Great cocktails, great food.
Yeah, but if you can't, then hopefully we'll be in Ohio soon. But yeah, thank you guys so much for
Cheers, man.
Thank you guys so much.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Blast.
Cheers. Cheers.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to the podcast. If you want more great content and other perks, be sure to support the show by clicking the link in the show notes. We can be reached on our website, whiskeychaserspod.com, with any ideas for the show. Thanks again.